Hey, if you've ever wished that you could work less and make more, and if you've ever wondered how some people get so much done, seemingly not working that much, stick around and watch today's video through until the very end, as I'm about to share with you the 2 keys to working less, making more, and ultimately building a business that not only makes you money, but also gives you the lifestyle that I know you're after. With that said, if this is your first video, my name is Misha Wilson, and over the course of the last few years, I've grown my business from 6 figures to multiple 6 figures to 7 figures, up to regularly doing $1 million in a single month, following these principles, and these principles are what allow me to scale my business while having the exact same number of hours in a day as everyone else. With that said, as always, if you get value out of this video, don't forget to let me know in the comments section below what your biggest takeaway is, and don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell icon notification button so that you get notified when I do more videos just like this. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in.
Welcome to the Misha Wilson Show, where we show you how to create massive success online so you can enjoy the lifestyle of your wildest dreams.
So again, what we're going to be talking about here today is, how to essentially get more done in less time, and the 2 things that I focus on in order to get more done in less time so that ultimately you can have a business that not only makes you money, but also gives you a really cool lifestyle. All right, so really this comes down to 2 very common traps that I see so many people get into, and 2 kind of principles that you can live by in order to go ahead and get out of those traps. So one of the biggest traps that people get into with their online businesses is essentially, and this especially happens actually kind of weirdly enough, once they're seeing some success and they're then able to go full time in their business. If someone's working a job and they work for 8 hours a day in that job and then they're building their business in the evening, right? They might have 2 or 3 hours per night in order to go ahead and invest in their business to get their business off the ground. And so for those 2 or 3 hours in a night, they're hyper-focused. They're laser-focused on what they need to accomplish. They focus on the income-producing activities, and they only focus on the income-producing activities. And if they do that, initially, they will get up to their first level of result, be able to quit their job, and go full-time in their business. Then invariably what happens is they quit their job, they go full-time in their business, and they immediately have 8 extra hours in the day to spend on their business. And unfortunately, instead of getting way more done in, of course, the extra time, what tends to happen is they'll actually get the same amount done in much more time, ultimately wasting a ton of time, getting much less done, not necessarily building a business, growing a business, and getting their business to the next level. And this actually all comes down to one law. It's called Parkinson's Law, that essentially says if you give something a certain amount of resources, it will go ahead and use all of the resources in order to go ahead and accomplish the result. So in the context of time, if you give yourself 8 hours a day in order to grow your business, you will use 8 hours a day. If you give yourself 4 hours a day to grow your business, you will get the exact same thing done in 4 hours per day. All right, now it might be hard to kind of believe that that might be true, but I personally know CEOs that run businesses much greater, much larger than mine, that literally run their business, working from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, never working on the weekends, managing teams of literally hundreds of people. Because when they are focused on their business, they're completely and totally locked in. When they're focused on their business, they're completely and totally focused on the few things they need to do to drive the biggest results, and therefore they're able to grow their business without having to give themselves more and more and more time to focus on their business. So while it might seem contrary to popular belief, the first thing that you might want to look at doing if you want to make more working less is actually looking at how can I work less? How can I put time constraints on how many hours per day, how many days per week, how many hours in the evening I'm able to work so that I can go ahead and maximize the time that I'm working instead of wasting time using the time on trivial activities. All right, so leverage Parkinson's law. Understand, if you give yourself 2 hours a day to focus on your business, you will optimize and maximize those 2 hours per day. If you give yourself 4 hours a day, you will maximize and optimize those 4 hours a day. Now look, as you grow, right, as you get to a point where you're doing millions of dollars a year or $1 million a month and you have a big team, yes, you probably can't run $1 million, per month business working 1 or 2 hours per day. No one would say you could. And, until you have an absolute A-player management team, it wouldn't necessarily be realistic. But with that said, if you're looking to, go from working your job to quitting your job and then going full-time online, there is no reason you can't complete everything you need to complete within the context of the activities that will get you there, working just 1 or 2 hours a day. All right, now I'm not guaranteeing you that result, just to be very clear. With that said, understand the principle. Instead of giving yourself more time, give yourself less time and therefore maximize the actual hours inputted into your business. Now, the second big mistake that most people make is literally they focus on all of the wrong things. All right, so if you're familiar with my training, if you've been through my courses, you've probably heard of the Pareto principle. All right, Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, 20% of your activities will always drive 80% of your results. This is the second thing that I want to talk about. In working with coaching and mentorship students over the course of the years, we have had literally hundreds of people come through, get started, and go through our mentorship program. What I find is, especially at the very beginning, before we break this cycle, before we break this pattern, all of their time is focused on the wrong activities. All right, so they will spend hours every single day trying to make the logo on their blog look just perfect. They will spend an hour trying to figure out the exact perfect thing to say in a PS line in an email. They'll spend an hour on social media making posts that don't have any call to action to any offer where someone can actually buy something. They'll do everything in their power to spend all of their time on everything other than the income producing activities, oftentimes because they aren't necessarily comfortable executing upon the income producing activities yet. But as a result, they spend all of their time on the 80% that ultimately only accounts for 20% of the results. And what you need to do is you need to flip that. You want to spend 80% of your time on the 20% of the activities that will drive 80% of the results, or you want to spend all of your time, I should say. And then from there, you should also understand that within the 20%, there's also another 20%. All right, so there's 20% of the 20% that will drive the biggest overall results in your business, essentially the biggest leverage points that you want to focus on. All right, now when it comes to, all right, what are the 20% of activities that will drive the 80% of the results? Ultimately, you have to look at what will immediately result in you driving revenue for your business. All right, so when you're brand new, this might be placing ads, right? If you place an ad correctly, it will drive a sale for your business. It might be writing an email follow-up message. If you write an email follow-up message correctly and consistently, if you do it over the course of a period of time, it will result in going ahead and making sales. It might be hosting a webinar, right? Once you have an audience, once you have a little list built, if you host a webinar and sell something on that webinar, you can immediately make sales. So really the question to ask yourself when you sit down is the activity that I'm doing right now going to immediately lead to a sale? And if the answer is no, you want to scratch that activity, don't even focus on it, delegate it if you need to, if it needs to get done, get someone else to do it for you, and then you want to focus your time on the high leverage income producing activities, spend less time, so leverage Parkinson's law, spend less time on the higher impact activities, and ultimately get way bigger results in less time, making way more money working less. With that said, I hope you got a ton of value out of this video. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below what your biggest takeaway is. And don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell icon notification button so that you're notified when I do more videos just like this.